Brooklyn Independent Television.
Sitting here with me is, of course, the PSAL defending head coach of the Fort Hamilton Tigers, Dan Perez. Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And we're here on your campus, and of course I know you'll be hanging up another banner back there for the title you won at Yankee Stadium against Lincoln High School.
Yeah, it was a very exciting year last year, and I can't wait to get started. I'm so happy that football is in our blood, and football season started, and we're excited to get going.
You know, one thing you also have to be really excited about too is that you had one of your players, I know when you were an assistant coach, who was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, Jaquan Jarrett.
Yeah, that was actually pretty amazing, and he's still the same Jaquan that I know when he played here. Just a couple of weeks ago, me and Coach Leno, Coach Sanchez, we actually went up to the Eagles practice and watch him practice. And I sent him a text. Me and Coach are on a car. We're gonna go see you. And he was so excited. He got us on the sideline, and we got to see him practice. And he's still the same kid, very humble, very appreciative, and it was unbelievable that he got drafted.
Now the other thing, when you look at him in terms of PSAL football, in terms of your program, that says a lot.
It does say a lot, and he was a kid that always fell under the radar, and through hard work, he always overcame that. He didn't get a scholarship offer until late in the season, his senior season, and it was Temple's last scholarship offer. And at that time, Temple hasn't won a game in like forever, and he goes on to have a marvelous career at Temple. And then when the Senior Bowl started, he was like the fifth safety on the board, and every day he just kept moving up that board, where he got drafted in the second round of the NFL, which is unbelievable.
Now, in terms of, as far as getting drafted, is he the first player from this high school, as far as the NFL, to be drafted in the NFL?
He's the first. Fort Hamilton is 20 years old. We're actually celebrating our 20 years of Tiger football this year. When we open up against Lehman, we're going to be honoring the first team. And in those 20 years, he is the first professional football player coming out of this school.
That says a heck of a lot about your program. And speaking of the program, I want to talk more about last year. In terms, you went undefeated. And how did you sustain that every week going into the playoffs? Because the playoffs, you're one and done.
We just try to sustain it by just keep the kids humble, and take each game one game at a time. You know, prepare for the game here. Don't look ahead in the future. You know, we all knew that the game was going to be played at Yankee Stadium, but we didn't want to lose track of that, because you lose track of that, you start seeing the future, and then you lose sight of what's in front of you. You know, and we had to go through a tough playoff schedule in order to get there, and we knew we had to bring our A game every week, especially during the playoffs.
So you had your players basically live in the moment during each practice, each game.
Live in the moment. The previous two seasons before last year, you know, we got knocked out in the playoffs. We had great regular season, and then we got knocked out in the playoffs, and we want to finish through. So we just try to stay focused one game at a time.
That particular day was also special when you won the championship. Preparing, going up to Yankee Stadium. Describe how you felt that particular day, and then coming back that night.
It's Yankee Stadium, under the lights, 10,000 people, and to win the first championship ever played there, and for Fort Hamilton to do that was unbelievable, and it was a great ride. And the kids, myself, we're gonna cherish that for the rest of our lives.
And also Mr. Stroud, too. I'll never forget him.
Wild Wings, semi-final week. I was talking to Mike Bellamy. I said, Mike, Fort Hamilton Tigers will come out with the ring. He said, okay, we'll see. I told him we did it. I said, who gonna stop Big 8? And we got that ring.
In terms of who's coming back this year?
Well, we returned our quarterback, Marvin Centeno. He's the gel on our offense. You know, he did a great job operating on offense last year. So we're gonna put a lot on him, and we're hoping that he's gonna do a great job for us.
Who else offensively, as far as in the backfield?
Obviously in the backfield, our running back is Tyrone Raymond. Tyrone had some playing time last year. He actually started the first half of the championship game, and then Wesley came in the second half. But Tyrone has gotten some varsity experience, and I think he's going to do a great job for us this year.
Coach, I'm going to hold that thought. I want to talk about your defense and also special teams. And we're going to come back, but before we come back, and we're going to take a look at some of the celebrations, championship last year, also some of that game. We'll be back with you, talk to the coach right after this. Welcome back. We're here on the campus of Fort Hamilton High School, home of the PSAL defending champs. And joining me is the head football coach, Dan Perez, as he's preparing for an early season. And we're giving us an early season look for their team. And you open up this year against Lehman High School. But before we get into that, I also want to talk about who's coming back on the defensive side.
On the defensive side, we return Amani Garrick, who is a starting inside defensive tackle, and Mensa Ibrick. You know, it's good to have some guys on the defensive line coming back.
He seems a real intense young man also.
Mensa's a very intense young man. And then we returned the heart and soul of our defense last year, and he's going to be the heart and soul of our defense this year. Robert Thomas, our middle linebacker, he makes all the defensive calls, and he's a big run stopper in the middle, and it's tough to run against him when Robert's in the middle.
Now, you know, in terms of special teams, they play also a real key factor in deciding who wins or who loses. How's as far as special teams, how do you look? We work very hard on special teams. When we go up to camp, the first thing we do, even before we go to breakfast, we have a special teams period, and we just focus on getting the special teams done. You can win or lose a game in special teams, and we talked about before the 2009 game at Curtis. You know, Curtis had a punt return for a touchdown, which probably was the difference in the game. So those things, you know, if you don't play time special teams, it could come back and bite you. Because the little things mean a lot, but special teams are not little. They're major. They're major. Yeah. Because I think when people look at football, as far as some fans anyway, they may look at, you know, the long ball or the sack and those things, but no one looks at the details that the special teams play in each game.
And the mild detail that it takes in order to have exceptional special teams. And the time, you gotta put time, and if you want to be good at something, you gotta put time in it. And you know, we try to spend a good amount of time on working on our special teams.
Now, this year you open up against Lehman on September 10th.
Yes. Lehman is a tough team from the Bronx. They're gonna come down here. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Tiger football. We're gonna try to honor our first team, and I think it's gonna be a great game, and I can't wait to get going.
And as far as the other teams, I know you play teams throughout Brooklyn, throughout the city. Any particular team? I know you're taking one game at a time. Some of your players mentioned that they're looking forward to playing Lincoln again.
Well, the Lincoln game is going to be the last game of the season. That's way too far. Right now, I'm just thinking about Lehman and getting through Lehman, because I know Coach Sounds. He's a new coach over there, and I know he's going to have his boys ready to play against us here. Even
though you were as an assistant, you were under Coach Leno for, you know, a minute there, but to go into your first season and also to win a championship game, that's really phenomenal and incredible.
I had an exceptional group of seniors, and you know, without them, it would have never been possible. And I was just happy to be there for the ride. I have a great group of coaches. The coaching staff pretty much stay together, and they've been doing a great job. Like this year, I'm almost sitting back and managing, because a great group of coaches and the job they're doing an exceptional job working with these young boys and helping them become men.
All right. Well, Coach, I'd like to thank you again for coming on. And we will follow you throughout the season and hopefully see you somewhere deep in the playoffs.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Right. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Okay, Mike.
Bye. Cool.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at breakartsmedia.org/BIT.